Welcome back, everyone. I am Mishri Patel, and in this topic, we are diving into an essential topic AWS IAM and what it has to offer. Let's start with an introduction of IAM, that is, Identity and Access Management. Managing access is one of the most important tasks when you are working in the cloud. Whether you are running a small project or overseeing a large organization, making sure the right people and application have the right level of access is the key to both security and efficiency. That's where AWS Identity and Access Management IAM comes in. It helps you control access to your AWS resources in a secure way. IAM is like your control center for managing access across your AWS environment, whether it's individuals, applications, or services. IAM gives you the tools to decide who can access your environment, what they can do, and which resources they can interact with. For an example, consider a developer who needs to start and stop EC2 instances for a specific project, while building administrator only needs to view cost reports. Here, who refers to the developer, and billing admin, what describes their actions like managing EC2 instances or viewing reports, and which specific exact resource they can access, such as certain EC2 instances or the billing dashboard. IAM ensures that each person has just the right to access the right resources. Talking about the core concepts. At its core, IAM revolves around a few key concepts: users, roles, groups, and policies. In IAM, we often mention IAM identity. IAM identities include IAM users, IAM groups, and IAM roles. First, you have users, which represents the individuals or applications who need access to your AWS resources. For an example, a developer might be a user who needs access to AWS to deploy applications. In real-world scenario, there can be multiple users with different kinds of needs. So instead of managing permissions for each user separately, IAM creates groups. Like you can create developers and testers group and assign user X and Y to the developer group if they require developer access, and person A or B to the tester group if this serves their needs. In addition to users and groups, IAM uses roles and policies. Roles allow temporary access to AWS resources. From access point of view, IAM role is similar to IAM user. You can use roles to delegate access to users, applications, or services that don't normally have access to your AWS resource. So that since it's used to provide temporary access to the resources, then comes the policies. Policies are like rules which define the specific action that can allow or denied. Policies are written in JSON format. Policy can be attached to an IAM identity, so we can see that an IAM identity represents a human user or an application that can be authenticated and then authorized to perform actions in AWS account. An identity can be associated with one or more policies. We will take a closer look at them later. Comes one of the most important aspects of IAM is least privilege principle, which means giving each user or service only the permission they absolutely need to perform their task. For example, If a developer needs to view EC2 instance detail, but does not need to stop or terminate instances, they would only be granted the permission to access the EC2 instances, not the permission to modify or delete them. This approach helps prevent mistakes or intentional misuse of access, keeping your AWS environment safer. Security. Security is a big focus in IAM. That's why IAM offers features like multi-factor authentication (MFA). MFA adds an extra layer of protection by requiring a second form of verification, like a one-time code (OTP) from a mobile app, making it harder for unauthorized users to access your environment. For instance, when you log into your online banking account, you first enter your password, and then you get an OTP to your phone for getting in. This is like how IAM uses MFA, multi-factor authentication, to provide extra security, making it tougher for unauthorized people to get into your AWS account. IAM also supports programmatic access for developers and applications. By using access keys, you can interact with AWS services through tools like AWS CLI or SDKs. These keys can be created through your IAM console under Security Credentials section for a user. A snapshot of which is shown on the next screen. One important thing to make a note of is it's important to handle these keys with care. Rotating them regularly and restricting their use is needed. Let's look at the diagram to understand IAM in totality. As you can see, we have user John, which has a policy attached with him. Then we have different groups: admin, developers, and DevOps. Each of these groups has policies attached with them. Also, each group has one or more users. Also, notice that when a user is assigned a group, separate policies are not at the head with them. However, you can see for one user, James, Spirit policy is attached. You can also see there is an app role which also has policy attached with it. So, overall, with IAM, you can centralize control over access and permissions, helping to keep your AWS environment secure and running smoothly. This was all for this particular video. We will dive deeper into these features and guide you through mastering IAM step by step. Until then, take care, bye, and thanks for watching my video.